Hey guys, welcome to our first podcast. My name is Carlos. The name of the podcast is the Torque and Toast podcast, where we're going to cover everything from car care tips, maintenance tips, car fun facts, but also on the other side, toasts, meaning spirits in the liquid form. We're big fans of wine. We're big fans of anything sparkling, yeah, and pretty much anything. And we just wanted to give our take on the two different things, two different subjects, and just kind of go from there. Occasionally, we will have guests. We have a lot of friends in both the automotive industry and in the alcohol industry, but also we have friends, professional friends, and colleagues that we talk to on a daily basis that are really smart and insightful in their respective field. So that's one of the things we're going to have on the podcast occasionally, but for the most part, it's going to be myself. My name is Carlos.
Vanessa.
So we purchased our business in, 2020? Mm-hmm. Our first day of business our first day of business was September 8th of 2020, right after the pandemic hit. And it was just one of those things where it's always been a dream of mine to have my own company or my own business, my own auto shop, and was running the place for 8 years. I knew that place, the ins and out of that place, and the opportunity came after pandemic hit, and to purchase the business, and we went for it. Talked to you about it, and we just said, you know what, let's just do it and go from there. It's been interesting, right? To say the least.
Well, I mean, we did back out.
We did back out.
Well, we backed out when the pandemic hit.
Yeah. It was one of those things where we got offered the business prior to the pandemic starting or hitting, and we agreed to buy the place, and we wanted to roll with it then, but then the pandemic hit, and we're like, wow, we kind of don't want to do this anymore, right? We're like, we don't want to do this. There's nobody coming in. The phone's not ringing. Nobody's driving. The whole world is
at a pause.
At a pause, right? So we're like, well, what are we going to do? And then they asked, after the pandemic hit, they asked us, hey, do you still want it? And we're like, we kind of do, but not at the terms that were agreed to before, So it's one of those things where because of the pandemic, I feel that it helped us, get the place. And yeah, it was one of those things where, don't get me wrong, it wasn't a smooth process to buy the place, if you recall. It took, after the negotiating with corporate, with the landlord, but then the landlord and corporate, they wouldn't agree to how long did that take?
It probably took we started off with serious conversation, I think in June. Mm-hmm. And then we didn't close till September. But yeah, a lot of it was back and forth with the landlord. Mm-hmm. It's surprising how people want to rent out their space, but will make it so hard for you to rent out their space.
Yeah, you have to jump through all these hoops we're there sitting there waiting, ready. We have the money, we have the will, the want, and there's something holding that bag. Oh, this and that, or corporate said this, and it was just it was a long, dragged out process, But if anything, having a business, a company has taught me and us is you got to be patient with certain things. You can't you can't act hastily about certain things. You can't rush certain things because that's how things are missed, I guess, So we have purchased the business in 2020, and we've had it since then, and it's grown, and we're blessed to have great clients, a great team, that works with us, and we service vehicles, and it's one of those things where I like it every day. I like doing it, and we learn every single day about something, whether it's the latest car technology, business technology, taxes, and nobody teaches you things, teaches you these things when you buy a business, right? No one says, hey, congratulations, here's your business. Here's what you should do. No one teaches you shit.
Yeah. Nobody walked you through the licenses. Nobody walked you through insurances. It was just, oh, this is due. It's due in a month. Figure it out.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's the one that he really stuck out even to this day was when we signed up for the sales tax thing. You know how we had the sales tax, and then they wanted a deposit for the sales tax, and I think it was like $12,000 that they wanted, just bam, and it's like, and we haven't even opened yet. So those are the type of things that no one teaches you, and you learn as you go, and you just, okay, well, that costs that much, so let's see what happens next month, I guess, So, but I think that's pretty much the story in a nutshell. I mean, it from negotiating to the day that we opened, it was a long time. It got to the point where I didn't even want it at one point because I was just so back and forth. Oh, this is this, and you get. And I was just like, bro, do we even want to do this anymore? But we stuck with it, and here we are. So it was fun, to say the least. The first thing I want to talk about is the 5 top winter car tips that I'd like to give out, just to kind of help anybody that needs to know about their car. First thing is you want to check your battery and maintain your battery. You want to make sure that the battery in your vehicle is fully charged. You want to make sure if your battery is more than 2 years old, we're out here in Las Vegas, Nevada, you want to get the battery tested. You want to get the battery tested. You want to get the cold cranking amps tested and checked. If they're low, chances are the vehicle is not going to start right away. At our center, we test every battery that comes into our center, especially in the wintertime, but we test them all the time, every car that comes in. And we do a courtesy battery test to test those cold cranking amps. One thing we look for as well is we look for corrosion on the terminals. If there's any corrosion on those terminals, you do want them cleaned. You do want them to be corrosion-free. That ensures proper connection of the battery and that everything is getting voltage. That's what it needs to start. Another thing that we look for, though, is battery deformation. Sometimes car batteries, they deform, they warp, they start to bulge out. There's water inside these batteries, and that water sometimes either dwindles down, that causes hard starts, but even in the wintertime or in the summertime, that water that's in those batteries could actually boil over and start cause the batteries to leak, and that could cause an issue with starting and that sort of thing. So those are the type of things that we look for at our center when we look at a battery and test a battery. The second thing is tires. Tires, you always want to make sure your tire pressure is fully inflated. You want to take care of that tire tread, make sure the tires tread is well enough to stop the car. Now, there's a debate in our industry that, tires don't stop the car, brakes stop the car. Well, I've been doing this for 23 years. I've seen a lot of different vehicles, and what I've learned is brakes, they slow down your car. The tires is actually what stops the car. So brakes and tires work together to stop the vehicle down, or slow the vehicle down. So your brakes slow the vehicle down, your tires are what actually stop the car. So if you have bald tires, like that meme you posted,
then you're going to slide everywhere if it's wet or if there's ice.
Uh-huh. And speaking of that meme that you posted the other day, I went to a networking event the other day, and I want to say about 5 people said, I saw that meme and I was just dying. I was laughing so hard. And it's true because you see those tires are bald, they're shiny, but you're over there spending
$50 on a Stanley Cup.
that all it does is hold your coffee or whatever. So tires, let's check those tire pressure, let's check the condition of the tires. Let's make sure the tires are properly inflated. At our center, we do courtesy tire inspections. It's absolutely free. Bring your vehicle to the center. We'll go ahead and take care of that for you. Number 3, windshield care. Something that's kind of forgotten, but you always want to make sure your windshield is free of debris. You want to make sure that your windshield wipers are not torn. If they're torn, you just get them replaced. Even if they're not torn, but you use your windshield wipers and they smear everything, and they're not clearing your windshield, you want to get those wiper blades replaced. At our center, we do courtesy windshield wiper evaluations, inspections, and we do offer them as replacement as well. At our center, you buy a set of wiper blades. They're good for 2 years. They're free replacements for 2 years. We'll change them out as you need them for just one fee. So also, your windshield washer fluid is really important. The other day, we had a client come in. It was one of those mornings where it was really, really cold. I think it was like 30-some degrees outside. And they came in because they had something leaking. Hey, there's something leaking on the bottom of my car. Can you guys check it out? So yeah, we looked at the vehicle, we evaluated it. Come to find out, washer fluid is water-based, right? Mm-hmm. There's no alcohol in it, so it's gonna freeze. It got so cold at this client's house or the area that they live that the washer fluid froze inside the reservoir tank, and it caused the reservoir tank to crack. And as the temperature got a little warmer in the day, they started dripping water, and they brought the vehicle in just to see, hey, what's going on? I'm leaking something. But it was water. It was washer fluid. So when it's cold outside, we also want to make sure that the washer fluid that we install has it doesn't freeze. There's different levels of washer fluid. Now, 95% of the time, we'll use water-based washer fluid. That's just what the industry does. But we're not used to this cold. We're not around it. So you go somewhere else where it's always cold, they have alcohol-based washer fluid that doesn't freeze. So you want to make sure your wipers, blades are okay. You want to make sure that your washer fluid is full so it could clear that windshield as you drive. Number 4, engine and antifreeze. So you want to make sure your engine coolant is full. Not only do you want it to, not only do you want your antifreeze to be full or your cooling system to be full so the vehicle doesn't overheat, because that's what keeps your engine cool, but now that it's cold outside, you turn that heater on. If your cooling system is low on antifreeze, your heater's not going to heat. That's where your heater gets the heat from. It gets from the antifreeze. So if you go out to use your heater and it's not very cold, not very hot, let's check your antifreeze level, make sure it's full. If it's not full, let's make sure that there's no leaks. We'll top it off for you, and we'll make sure that your heater works, because right now we definitely need heat, and especially in these mornings. And then the antifreeze, there's all kinds of different antifreeze you can put on your vehicle. We use whatever's rated for the vehicles. Have to make sure it's the right rated antifreeze for that for the appropriate make and model of the vehicle. So you want to always check your antifreeze level as well. And then finally, the 5th one, and this is something that I just kind of put together, it's kind of forgotten about, is an emergency kit. You want to make sure you have some kind of emergency kit in your car, whether it's a small jump box. You could get a jump box that are this big, that's like this big, with 2 little jumper wires. You hook it up to your battery. If you need a jump start, you could jump it real quick. Maybe a blanket. What else would you consider in an emergency kit if you had to have something, you're stranded somewhere, and what would you think?
Water, flashlight. Besides the jump box, is there not something else that you should have or that you could have? Something for the tires to check like your tire pressure.
Yeah, you could have. There's the old school air gauges. Yeah. They look like little pencils. You just stick it into the valve stem, and it'll give you kind of a tire reading or appropriate tire reading. There's that. So you want to have something. Granted, if you have AAA, but AAA sometimes takes an hour, 2 hours to get to you. And if it's 30 degrees outside, you're not going to run your car unless, it can run. But you always want to have something with you. You always, like you said, water, a jumper box. You want to make sure you're something to check your tires with. Flashers, or what are those triangle, those emergency you put on the ground? Oh yeah, you
can even have flares too.
Flares. You want to be seen. You want somebody to know that. Say your cell phone's dead. But you want somebody to be able to notice you on the side of the road that you need something. Luckily, out here in the state in Nevada or here in Las Vegas, we have NDOT, right?
Yeah, we have the roadside that goes back and forth between the highways. Mm-hmm. But still, because sometimes you get stuck in the road, mm-hmm. right? So you want to make sure you have your flashers on. Don't just get out of your car and don't put your flashers on, because then nobody knows why the cars are stopped and people are trying to go around each other and you could end up getting hit. But yeah, and AAA is like $120 for a year for a good amount of towing. So it's definitely an investment. And I definitely recommend that people get that.
AAA.
'Cause I've had it since before I met you. So, and I've used it at least once a year all the time.
Yeah, it's like AAA is one of those things that you really should have. I mean, if it's it could be more, but if it's only $100 some a year, then I mean, you definitely want to do that. And what she said is correct, though. If you get stranded on the side of the road, you really don't want to ever get out of your car. Especially if you're on the freeway, you want to stay in your car where it's safe. You don't want to get out and let me go look. Let me pop the hood, dude. I'm telling you, you just want to stay inside your car.
If you don't know about your car, there's no reason to pop your hood in public.
I always wonder about that.
If you don't know what you're looking at,
I always wonder about
why
that.
are you popping the hood?
What are you looking at?
It's okay. Just leave it closed. Call someone, and hopefully they'll get there soon. And maybe if they know about the cars, then they can open the hood. But don't open the hood. Just stay in the car.
Honestly, yeah.
Put your safety stuff out real quick. Run back in the car. But don't bother to open up the hood if you don't know what you're looking at.
Stay in the car. Stay in the car. Really, just stay in the car. I mean, as we go, we'll more episodes that we do. We'll provide more different kind of car care tips, anywhere from tire maintenance, alignments. We'll go into brakes. I mean, so there's definitely a lot of content that we could provide when it comes to car care tips and tricks and things like that. Again, I've been in the automotive repair and service industry for over 23 years. Worked on all kinds of different vehicles. I've seen most, still learning. But yeah, we could definitely, do that as well. Now, the fun stuff, right? I got a top 5 car fun facts, that I've found over the years. And so I wanted to go into that real quick, just because, let's lighten it up a little bit and it's a little fun. So check this out. Did you know that the world's first automobile was built by a gentleman named Carl Benz in 1885. It was called the Benz Patent Motor Wagon. I don't know if you knew that or not.
Did you know that I had that book?
What book?
The book about that story.
No way.
Yes.
So you did know?
I did know.
Oh, shit.
'Cause remember, my uncle is German. And so one of the things he gave me when I was a kid was that book. And it even had an illustration of them going down the hill and the brakes not working right.
Oh, wow. See, I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. Interesting. So yeah, I'm glad you knew that. Yeah, so the details of that automobile, it had a single cylinder, 4-stroke engine. It was the first car designed to be propelled by an internal combustible engine. So yeah, I didn't know you knew that. That's actually pretty impressive. See, she knows about cars. I mean, she really knows about cars. One thing I dug about her when I met her, she knows, she can look at her car and tell you exactly what model it is, what brand it is. Like, there is no hesitation. It's one of the things that I loved about her. He's like, oh, what kind of car is that? It's one of those gray, it's a Mercedes, but,
No. I can tell you which Mercedes it is.
So yeah, so that's good. I'm glad you knew that. Number two, record-breaking speed. The current record for the fastest street legal production car is held by, guess.
I don't know.
No, Bugatti.
Oh.
It's the Bugatti Chiron. I'm butchering the name. Super Sport 300 Plus, reaching a top speed of, guess how? Just take a guess of how fast.
It's legal? So what?
Street legal.
Street legal? I don't know. What, 180?
Higher.
200?
Higher.
250?
Higher.
304.77
miles per hour.
Wow.
Like, I mean, it's cool, right? I mean, to be able to go that fast, but dude, like, have you ever driven a car at 100 miles an hour?
No.
Probably
90, but not.
Okay. Okay, 10 more miles. Dude, I've learned that when you drive a car that fast, 100, 120, 100, like, it feels cool, but you really need to know how to control your car, because any slight movement that you don't want, it's going to affect it. So, but yeah, I try not to drive very fast, but 304 miles per hour. This record was set in 2019 at Volkswagen's Era Leeson test track in Germany. So it was pretty recent. Pretty recent. So the fastest you driven was about 90?
I'd say probably about 90.
Where were you going?
Probably to California.
To see me?
Probably when we were dating.
I hope so. Go see me.
Tried to get there in like less than 4 hours. So
Dang. That's funny. Number 3, unique car feature, right? You know, some cars have had features like the Subaru SVX's split windows or the McLaren's F1 central driving position. So when you get to cars like a McLaren, like everything is designed for one thing, and it's not even comfort; it's speed, it's efficiency, right? So the McLaren has the steering wheel in the middle, so you sit in the middle opposed to sitting on one side and the other side. So those type of cars are, and there's all kinds of different features on those cars. A lot of those cars don't have like radios; they don't have certain comfort things that we're used to. Mm-hmm. That's why supercars, I mean, you just get in them and you just go. It's rare that they have any kind of anything, right? It's just they're just built for speed and power. It's really what it is there. The SVX, going back to the Subaru, featured windows within windows for aerodynamics, while the McLaren F1 placed the driver in the center for optimal driving and visibility. So that SVX feature is a window within a window.
How?
Isn't it weird?
Mm-hmm.
It's all about aerodynamics when it comes to these types of vehicles. So, number 4. Guess what's the most famous movie car? You should know this. You should definitely know this. If you grew up when we grew up.
It's not Christine?
No, that's actually a good guess.
Okay.
If you guys don't know what Christine is based off that book. It's the Stephen King's book, but it's not Christine. Christine was a little before our time.
Okay.
I think. Actually, yeah, I think Christine came out in the 70s, right? If I'm not mistaken.
I've never seen the whole thing. I just know of the movie, but I've never seen the whole thing.
You've never seen the whole thing?
No, I've never seen the whole thing. Remember, I don't like scary movies.
Which I don't know.
I'm not going to really watch something
yeah, I know.
that might be scary.
It's not even that scary. It's about a car.
Could be scary, though.
Cars could be scary, especially the problem ones. But no, the DeLorean, Back to the Future. The DMC. Yeah, the DeLorean is considered the most famous movie vehicle from the Back to the Future series. And if you guys don't know, the DeLorean, this car became famous for its gull wing doors and its role as a time machine. You know, the doors that open like this. Did you know? So DeLorean, they don't make them anymore, but you know there's a company in Texas that makes them.
Yes, I saw it at SEMA.
Okay. Oh, you did? Okay, we did. What'd you think of SEMA?
It was good.
Did you like it?
It was huge.
It was a lot, huh?
It was a lot. It was a lot to take in.
There was a lot of vehicles, a lot of people, and it was.
And I was a little disappointed knowing that some of the cars weren't ready, and they were on display, but they weren't ready.
Yeah, there were some trucks that like didn't have drive shafts in them. Like you could just really pick out the little things or big things that it's like, why is this car here? You know. So, but I thought it was fun. I always wanted to go to SEMA. I thought SEMA was cool. Again, I've been in this industry for 23 years, and I've never been to SEMA. And we went, this year or last year, and it was fun. But yeah, it was kind of a lot. It was
that, and I really like that GTO.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was like the prettiest car there. And it was the one that got into that little accident with the other car.
Dude.
And I think it had to do with something with it not being complete. So
that's probably what, yeah. And you saw, I saw a car leaking something. Like it was kind of odd, but it was fun. The EV presence was definitely known there though, for sure.
Yeah.
Like there was no hiding EVs. I mean, the one thing that really got to me was they had like a Mustang, an old school Mustang fastback, all darked out, black interior, black tint. The whole car was black. You pop the hood, it had an EV engine in it, or EV battery. It was just like, I kind of didn't like that. It's like you kind of want to hear it, you want to feel it. Those type of cars. So yeah, but it was cool. But yeah, the EV presence was definitely felt and seen at SEMA last year for sure. Yeah. So number 5, going back to our car fun facts. Did you know that the first electric automobile was not the '08 Tesla Roadster?
Was it like a Honda?
No,
A Honda?
no. So the very first electric vehicle that was ever made was actually made in 1800 and 90. It was, I don't know what brand it was. I was reading about it, but that's the first kind of design. And then fast forward to 2008, and the Tesla Roadster was the very first production full electric production vehicle. That was the first highway legal all electric car to use lithium ion battery cells, and the first electric car to travel more than 200 miles per charge. So, if you have a Tesla Roadster, they're good cars. At this point though, if you have a Tesla Roadster, you probably have had to put some money into it already, because they're completely different batteries that they have that they put in those vehicles opposed to the ones that they have now. Like we have our shop has a Tesla Model 3, and the battery in that vehicle is completely different from a Tesla Roadster. The whole bottom of the car is the battery, and they have all the cells in there, and so. But yeah, Tesla Roadster was in '08 was the first highway legal car. So those are the 5 kind of fun facts that we have going on today on today's episode. Let's see here.
So as a fun fact.
Yes.
What is your dream car?
My dream car? No, that's a good question. So my dream car, if I could just have the car that I wanted, would be to have back my 68 Mustang. Had a 289 engine in it. Wasn't a fastback or nothing like that. But if I could get that car back that I had to sell when I was a kid, I'd get that car back. But I'd totally redo it. Totally redo the car, get it all. I mean, when I had it, it was nice, but it had its problems. It was before I got into the car industry. Mm-hmm. And it was right before actually I got into the car industry. And if I could have it back, I would have that back and completely redo it. How about you?
Probably a Chevelle.
What year?
Probably 68.
Ooh, see, late 60s.
Yeah.
I like, late 60s. Those are pretty good. Mustang wise, I stopped showing interest in the Mustang after 70.
Yeah.
Because
the body changes.
Yeah, it's just a little different. But so Chevelle. So you get a Chevelle, I'll get my old school Mustang back. We'll be living the high life.
And at least our daughter will know what a classic car is.
That's true.
Because she thought a Lincoln from the 90s was a classic car.
Well, dude, I mean...
And she's like, Mom, don't you want one of those? I was like, no, honey, that's a Lincoln Town car. I don't want one of those.
I don't want that bucket-ass car back from the 90s. Like, what the... If I'm going to get a Lincoln, it's going to be a older Lincoln, But,
yeah.
And, and those cars are just... They're easier to work on. The technology in them, it's easier to understand. Nowadays with these cars, you open up the hood. Yeah, we know about them because we're around them. But, it seemed like they used to make cars back in the day. So
anybody could work on them?
So the owner could pop the hood, change the plugs out, the points, condenser. I even want to say in the owner's manuals of the older vehicles, it actually showed you how to do that.
Mm-hmm. Because those things were thick.
They were.
I mean, they're still pretty thick, but they were thick.
Yeah. And nowadays, you get an owner's manual and, okay, it shows you, but you just can't do that. You just can't do plugs in a 2021 Tundra or whatever. You just can't. I guess you could, but...
Not without having to lift this, do that, right?
Right.
Remove this and then get there.
Well, we had a client call today, and I guess he sold his car. It was a Subaru. I forgot what it was, but he called and wanted a compression test done. What a compression test does is that it basically tests the strength of each cylinder. Every vehicle has a specification of strength, right? And so as the vehicle ages, a lot of times the compression in each cylinder dwindles down because it's getting tired or there's other issues going on. Typically, your cylinder compression there's a spec anywhere from, I don't know, 100 and say 20 psi to 160, depending on the vehicle. And you want your compression tests to be done on each cylinder, but you want the results to be somewhat similar on all cylinders, right? So if the spec on that vehicle is say 150 psi per cylinder, so you test, say it's a 4-cylinder, you test each cylinder. Say this cylinder 1's at 150, cylinder 2's at 140, cylinder 3's at 90, and cylinder 4 is say at 150. The one that stands out to me is the one that's at 90, which would be cylinder 3. It's like, okay, cylinder 3's at 90. Why is it so low? And that's where the evaluation comes in. That's where the testing comes in. That's where the experience and knowledge of the technician comes in, because that's what we have to determine. Like, why is the compression in cylinder 3 different from all of them? And that's where we come in. So you want to test your compression. So he wanted a compression test on the Subaru. Well, to do the compression on the Subaru, the motor has to be lifted because the spark plugs are on the side and they come out sideways. They're no longer on top. So even to do tests like that, you have to either lift the engine up or remove the engine completely. I mean, you could probably sneak in your compression tester, but it's such a tight fit that per the manual, you have to lift it. So even that you can't do simply anymore. They make it so difficult to do that.
How long would it have taken Ted and one of the guys to do it?
I was talking
if we would have done it.
Well,
I'm pretty sure we didn't do it, right?
He didn't come in, but he said he might come in either next week or so we gave him kind of a starting price, and
But how many hours though?
So according to the labor guide, it calls for like 3.
Okay.
3 hours. It's just a labor guide, so we quoted him a price. Go from there. It's just, but more. And I asked the guy, I was like, well, does your vehicle run bad? Or, asking for a compression test on a vehicle is real specific. Mm-hmm. Like, it's just like, so my first question was, well, what's wrong with it? Like, is it running bad? He's like, oh, it's not running bad or nothing. He said that he sold a car to somebody today, and I guess the buyer wanted the results of a compression test, which on the buyer's end, more power to him, because that means he wants to know how strong the cylinders are. Mm-hmm. Because if they're all low, then the motor's bad or something else is going on with it. So, but at the flip side too, it's a real specific thing, and it's one of those things where we rarely get somebody to ask, hey, can you do a compression test on this vehicle? We do compression tests all the time when it comes to evaluating a misfire or doing spark plugs. Part of one of the things that we do on every spark plug replacement that we do is a compression test. You just have to. You just have to know what each cylinder is doing. So, compression tests, some of them are easy. A lot of them are a little bit time consuming. They're not impossible to do, but I just thought it was kind of a weird request because it's so specific. It's like calling a doctor and saying, hey, do you guys do colonoscopies? It's like, well, yeah. You
have to get referred. And,
right. Yeah, you can't just request one.
Have to be a certain age.
Yeah,
unless something's up.
Yeah, right. I mean, I guess, could you call and ask for one? No, right?
I don't think you could call just straight out. You probably need like a referral from like a primary. Like, there has to be a reason why. Like, it's either because it's your time because you're in your 50 or whatever the age is now for it. But I don't think you can just call and say, hey, I want a colonoscopy. Can I just get one?
Can I just get one? And I mean, I don't know. See, and in our industry, we get phone shoppers all the time, and a lot of times clients they just want to know a kind of a ballpark. But in our defense, it's like, well, in order for me to give you the actual price, I need the vehicle here. I need to look at it. I need to put eyes on it. I need to spend time with it, and then we'll send you the price, the actual price. Not a ballpark price that I'm pulling out of the air over the phone. That's the difference between our center and a lot of shops out there is you'll call and ask for a price, and you'll get a price, but they don't know because the car's not even there yet. They don't know if the car's full of rust. They don't know if somebody, 10 different people have worked on it prior. All that plays into the outcome of the vehicle. It really truly does. So the second part of our podcast is the toast aspect of it, like I was explaining earlier, and we're going to do a wine review today. Our first wine review here in a little bit, and it's a wine that we got in, what did you say, England?
Yes, at Harrods. So if you've ever been to England, Harrods is one of the real popular department stores there. It's massive. They have wine. They have designer clothes. They have this like amazing food court with all of this delicious food. It's a really fun store to go look at. And the last time that we went, when did we go? We went in 2022, May of 22. We bought a bottle there and we're like, okay, we're going to buy a bottle and we'll take it home. Because the last time we had gone, we had bought a bottle, but at a different store. So we're like, okay, let's grab a bottle. We'll take it home. And I'd forgotten what we even got. And then I looked at it the other day. It's like an Italian wine, but we did buy it at Harrods. So we're going to be trying that one out.
Hey, and so let me ask you this, going now transitioning to the wine aspect of the podcast. You've liked wine longer than I have. You know,
Yes.
I recently kind of got into the wine tasting thing, and
your story is kind of funny because every time I try to give you wine, you say, it's hot. Oh, this is hot. I don't like this. It's hot. And it wasn't until that time where we went to Temecula that you're like, okay, I can drink this. And then finally you went in with the wine club.
yes,
And so finally when you did the wine club, so we do wine club with Partage. It's one of the restaurants out here. Then that's when you got more serious. But even then I still couldn't get you to drink a bottle of wine with me at home.
Why?
It
I don't
was
know,
very
but-
hard. You'd say, no, I don't want any wine. You'd be like, okay, I guess I'll open this bottle and drink my half right now and my half tomorrow, even though you should consume it all at once. But yeah, now that you do like wine, it's definitely interesting. You know, I know you hate guessing, though. I know you don't like when we do our wine tastings and we have to guess what is it, because you feel like it's homework.
Yeah, you know what? It's one of those. Well, because all right, so wine, right? So when we went to Temecula, prior to going to Temecula, I would try a sip of wine and. Ugh,
But it was always hot.
it was always hot. I was just like, how do you drink this? Because it's just hot. It's just nothing but heat. It's just going down and whatever. But then going to Temecula with some friends, that really opened up kind of like my eyes to, because we hit up a bunch of different wineries, right? And, you know, I remember too, I think I started, because at one winery, I think the first winery we went to out there, I think they had beer, right? They had one, you guys were doing the wine thing, and then I'm like, I had some beer because they had beer there. But then I think you told me, you're like, hey, you're out here, you're at a winery. Okay, let's give it a chance, right? And so talking to our friends that we met out there, he was telling me, he's like, look, dude, it's really no big deal. You just eat some cheese, because they had the little
Trays, yeah, the like meat and cheese trays that you can buy,
not
or
choo-choo boards. We call them choo-choo boards, but charcuterie
charcuterie.
board or whatever. So he's like, bro, all you got to do is take a little piece of cheese, take a little nibble, and then just sip your wine. And then you'll find like combinations that you might like. You'll have like maybe a little olive, a little bit of wine. And I'm like, all right. Well, doing that, you start feeling good. And then, yeah, you know what? It kind of opens your palate up to certain things. And so we would just hit up the different wineries out there. And by the third, fourth winery, I mean, I was having a great time. I didn't give a shit. I didn't give a shit what the wine tastes like. I mean, it was good, but you're just feeling good. It was beautiful weather out there. It was perfect weather, right?
It was.
Just people out there. And we went to, what was that really popular winery? I mean, we went there and it was like summer. There's hella people everywhere. I was like, what the? I mean, it was just really, really popping. But
I think it was Wilson.
yeah, I think that's what it was called.
Wilson something? I think that sounds familiar.
And you've been to Napa. You've been to the wineries in Napa. I've never been over there, but I was impressed by Temecula. But I remember you kept telling me, well, it's cool out here, but if you really want to get the wine experience, you want to go to Napa. And I think that's probably one of the things we got to do. I got to go. I got to go to Napa, and obviously with you, but I'm not gonna go by myself. But I mean, the wine stuff. Yeah, you know what? Till this day, I do like wine. I like drinking it with dinner with there's nothing to me. There's nothing like a good steak with a little sip of red wine in between bites. I mean, it adds another layer in my eyes, in my opinion, to the food and to the experience. But I've also realized, and you could probably back me up on this. If a wine's really expensive, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be good.
Correct.
Like I always thought, hey, this wine's vintage. It should be really good.
That hasn't been the case. Now that we've done the wine club for over a year, and we've had some bottles that are, I wouldn't say cheap. They're in the hundreds. We've tasted just a little taste test here and there. And I tend to be kind of disappointed with like the bottles that are like in the 90s or higher.
How weird, right?
Yeah, it is weird. Because then I would always tell you when we get the sheet and it tells you like, okay, today you're going to try these 4 wines. And I'm like, oh, I can't wait till we get to that one. And then you're like, why? I'm like, well, because that's the more expensive one. Like, hopefully it's good. Let's see what it tastes like. But typically it's not my favorite.
How weird.
And then you're like, well, which one do you want to get? And I'm like, well, I actually really like the first one. Or, one that's a little more, maybe like within like the price range of about like $30 to like $60.
Yeah.
Those usually tend to be like the ones that we like. And even with champagne, when we tried champagne during the last tasting, they had the really expensive one. And I was like, oh, I can't wait to try like the more expensive one because I've had some pretty good champagne, but I've never had one that expensive.
Yeah.
And even then I was like, no, I actually like the first one. But that's something that Robert had told us when we had dinner with him.
Sure.
And Robert's actually the CEO of Precision Tune Auto Care. So he
Shout out to Robert.
A while back, years ago, and we went out to Delmonico, and he's big on wine, and he ordered a bottle. I want to say he ordered like a $80 bottle of wine at the time. And I even asked him, I was like, how do you know which one's good? And he's like, well, usually I stick to like the middle price because that's typically what I like. He's like, what if it's more expensive? I tend to not like it. It's not something that I really care for. So I think it's a thing for
so weird
people that drink wine. But then there's probably people that just like to buy the expensive stuff.
Because
they can.
The expensive stuff, right? Yeah, in general, right? Yeah. And it's, well, I'm a graduate of the Leadership Henderson class of 2023. And yours is 2022, right?
Yes.
And one of her things that her class did was they like brewed their own wine, right? Or you guys did your own wine?
Yeah. So at Grape Expectations out here in Henderson, we were able to make our own batch. And you dump the grapes in, you go for when they dump some other stuff in, and you help stir it. And then at the end, you help bottle it and put the labels on.
Did you step on the grapes with your toes?
No, it was not like I Love Lucy.
Damn it.
It was not like I Love Lucy, no. But it was a good experience because you get to understand the process. It's also a fun experience because you do it with other people. But there's people that do it just like as a family or like
a thing to do.
Just a couple, and they'll have like their if you go in there, they have like the barrels with like their names and stuff on it. So it's different. It's different. So.
And the reason why I bring that up is because we drank that bottle the other day.
It was pretty good.
It was pretty damn good. I mean, I dug it. I was like impressed. I was like, you sure you didn't step in this?
No.
That
and
was pretty good.
If you price it out at what you pay for like a case, it's the bottle's a little over $20.
See?
So yeah. It's a decently priced one.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: red or wine, or red or white? Red or wine?
Red.
Do you like, which one do you prefer better over one or the other?
I will always pick red over white. I've learned to enjoy white more now because at one point I was like, ew, don't give me this Pinot. Don't give me this, Pinot Grigio or Chardonnay.
Give me that crap.
Yeah, don't give me that. Riesling. But now I do enjoy it, especially if it's paired right? You know, usually with whatever it goes with best, which is typically like a seafood or something. But I do always go to red. So, you know, a cab, a Merlot, not so much. More a cab or a Bordeaux is more where I like to stay at.
Where I have trouble, I mean, I like a little bit of everything wine-wise. Where I fail to kind of, are these descriptions of these wines. Like when you read the description of the wine,
I know you always make up things.
Come from the hills of this and that, and you could taste the hint,
the rock.
Yeah, the hints of lemon with the splash of like clay. Or to me, it tastes kind of similar. I mean, there are some wines where I'm like, you smell, I'm like, whoa, this smells a lot different than this last one, or it tastes a little different than the last one. But when it says hint of apricot with a side of fiber, I don't know.
Fiber.
I just can't. I'm like, all right, bro, it tastes like whatever, you know? So that's my thing with wine. I haven't got to that point. Like if somebody poured me a glass and said, hey, describe this.
That's why you don't like those blind ones.
Because
that's
I'm not
why
there yet.
When the sommelier is like, what do you taste? Do you taste the body? Do you taste the whatever questions they start asking you?
I just taste the wine.
You know, is it dry or did it, you know, do this when you put it in your mouth, whatever. I know it's like, and you're like trying to like look at the paper and you're like, oh, I don't know.
Like this one we're gonna try here in a little bit. I'm just curious what like the description says about it or what it's gonna, you know, because I'm like, okay, you know, so hopefully it's good. I mean, if you know, we'll finish it. That's the thing. That's the thing I've learned. You never want to like waste a bottle of wine. If you drink a bottle of wine and you don't like the bottle of wine, either cook with the rest or just drink it, dude. Like honestly, just finish it and be done with it, and that'll be just another bottle that you knocked out. You know. So, you want to do the wine facts?
Sure.
Okay. So look, now we have the top 5 wine fun facts. Right. So, number 1. The oldest wine in the world. Check this out. The oldest known wine was discovered in the country of Georgia and dates back to 6,000 BC. Oh, dude, that had to taste like crap, right? Like, I mean, I wonder if they tasted it. The archaeologists found ceramic jars in a Neolithic village which contained wine residue. These findings suggest that winemaking in this region dates back to over 8,000 years, making it the earliest known production of wine. Would you taste that?
Probably not.
I mean, who knows, right? Who knows what that tastes like? Or I wonder what kind of price or cost or what's that worth?
I don't know. Probably a lot.
Dang, that's so... Now, fun fact number 2. Wine in space. Check this out. I had no idea about this. You probably did, though. I don't know. You know more about wine than I do. Wine has been taken to space for both scientific experiments and as part of astronauts' meals. A French wine company sent 12 bottles of Bordeaux to the International Space Station in 2019 to study the effects of microgravity and space conditions on wine aging. Also, during the early space shuttle missions, NASA astronauts were allowed to have small amount of wine with meals.
Okay.
Can you imagine being in the space station, sipping on wine? Like, that must feel weird, getting all buzzed out on wine, and then you're over there floating around. Right? I mean, you got work to do, but there you are, like floating around. I totally would. I'd be like, small amount? What's considered a small amount?
Well,
like,
I wonder if your body reacts different.
It probably
to
does.
Like the amount that you can have because you are floating.
Your gravity's different.
Yeah.
It all affects it, right? Yeah, wine's affected by atmosphere, air, all that shit, right? So you're probably right. It probably get you get you there faster, probably. I don't know. Let's see. Number 3, rare and expensive wines. Check this out. Some of the most expensive wines ever sold, including vintages from Chateau Lafite, Rothschild, Domaine de la Romanie Conti. I apologize if I'm butchering this, but hey, whatever. And Screaming Eagle Cabernet Sauvignon. For example, a bottle of 1945 Romani Conti sold for over $550,000 at an auction, making it one of the most expensive bottles ever. These wines are prized for their rarity, age, and the prestige of their vineyards. Prestige of vineyards. What is that? To you, what does that mean?
How nice the vineyard is.
That's what I'm thinking. Like the ground is probably better than over here or whatever, dude. Like I get it. You know, it's expensive stuff. So, but hey, there's a whole like world of wine that we probably don't even know about. But dude, that's pretty damn expensive. $550,000. So this bottle was 1945 and it sold for $550,000. Wonder how old that 6,000-year-old wine or whatever that first one was probably worth. Probably a lot more than that, huh? God.
Who knows?
Who knows? All right, number 4. There is health benefits in wine, if you guys didn't know. So you could use that to your advantage. Moderate wine consumption is often cited as being beneficial for heart health. Moderate. So if you're just drinking wine all the time, you can't say it's good for your heart.
Well, I don't know what moderate is.
What
Is
might
it
be
a glass? Is it 5 ounces? Is it 8?
What might be moderate for you might not be moderate for me, or vice versa. So yeah, who knows what moderate means? I would think maybe a bottle a day. I don't know.
That sounds like a lot. That sounds like excessive.
And remember, I didn't know this until you told me, because I thought when somebody would say, "Oh man, I finished a bottle of wine," I'm like, "Dang, that's a lot, dude." A bottle of wine is literally 4 glasses, like around
about 4 glasses.
About 4 glasses. It's not that much if you really start thinking about it. But yeah, before liking wine, I used to think, man, you kill how many bottles? And some people kill 2-3 bottles a night.
Yes. I've seen people that buy a lot of it, and I feel like they're constantly ordering it. And I assume they just have it every single night.
Hey, so in moderation is good for you. If not in moderation, it probably makes you feel good, but who knows? The details of this. Check this out. Red wine in particular contains antioxidants like resveratrol, of flavonoids and tannins, which may help protect the heart and reduce bad cholesterol levels. However, it's important to note that excessive consumption can negate these benefits. So, but people drink wine, so I like it. It feels good. When you drink a couple of glasses, you're feeling nice. Pretty good. And the 5th one, wine tasting techniques. Now, this is just a brief of how to drink wine. There's a proper way to do it. Yeah, you drink it and you sip it, this and that. But proper wine tasting involves several steps. Sight, which we'll go over here in a second. The swirl, which I didn't know about the swirl. And there's an actual way to what you're looking out for when you swirl a wine. Sniff, the old smell, the sip, and the savor. The details of this, assessing the colors and clarity, aerating the wine, identifying the bouquet and aroma, evaluating the taste on the palate, and enjoying the overall experience and aftertaste are key to fully appreciating a wine's qualities. So with that being said, let's bust it out.
All right. Ooh.
So this was, you said we got it in England at Harrods. So,
Yeah.
So we've had it for what, a few years?
Yes, we've had it for like 2 years.
2 years?
No, a little less than 2 years.
Less than 2 years?
Yeah, just a little under 2 years.
Well, this is the one. And I didn't know this, but believe it or not, the wine glasses that you drink your wine out of matter. There's some wine glasses that she won't drink wine out of just because they're not the ones that she likes. So it's little details like that really do matter when it comes to wine. The glasses and things like that.
And it's true, though, because I did ask the sommelier if it made a difference, and he said it did. So I'm not making stuff up in my head. My mom's not big on wine. And when she sees me get a glass for it, she always just says, why can't you just drink it out of a regular cup? And I'm like, because it doesn't taste the same.
It's weird, right?
And she just doesn't believe me. Like, she thinks I'm like crazy, like, hey, weirdo. But I'm telling you, it does not taste the same.
Well, I get it, though, because when you get a cup of coffee, you drink it out of a coffee mug, right? You won't drink it out of a glass or like a glass, like a water glass or something, right? I mean, it's just different. It's just the way you hold the mug. The same thing with wine. It's the way you hold it, the way you swirl it. Yeah, so wine glasses do matter for sure when it comes to wine.
You know how hard it was to travel with these glasses? Trying to make sure that I didn't break them on the way here.
Yeah, that
They
would
make
suck.
a little kit to travel with them, but
Oh, we're gonna get that. It's like a box, right?
yeah.
And it's like foamed on the inside, so they sit.
Yeah,
Probably.
there's like a little kit where you can travel with like the bottle and stuff. But
No, it's
just so everybody knows, Nevada has really hard water. So the glasses they have hard water stains. I swear to you, I washed them. But they just have hard water stains. I'm not going to fight with them.
they probably can't even see it.
I don't know if they can.
Huh.
They can't.
Oh, but
put
that's
it
gonna.
out
But a wine person's gonna be like, oh, but that's gonna affect the wine and this and that. It's not the truth.
No.
You know how the old interwebs
But we're
are.
not wine experts. We just like wine.
We just like wine. We're just regular people that like wine and like trying different wines and alcohols and all that stuff. Glub glub.
Here, take that one. All right.
Or is there details on that? Are there?
There is absolutely no details on it besides the fact that it's a Cab Franc and that it's from Italy and it contains sulfates.
Okay, so somebody has to explain to me what sulfates are, because there's wine with sulfates, without sulfates, but then I've heard that there's people that can't drink wine with sulfates because the sulfates.
Give them headaches.
Like, how do you know that?
I don't know. I couldn't
So
tell
someone
you.
tell us, please. So what? so here's what we do. We use the swirl, right? So explain the swirl. Explain what they're looking for in the swirl.
So according to who I learned from, we're looking for tears.
Okay.
So when we swirl, the more tears we see drip down, the better the wine is,
Like the better quality, right?
the better it's going to taste. I don't know about quality.
Or the better,
Just taste.
which makes sense. And then you look at the color, right?
This one's kind of late.
Yeah, you want to look at the color. You want to kind of see, and don't be afraid. Sometimes you might see little floaties in certain wine.
Oh, from the cork.
You might see that.
Or some residue it might have at the bottom.
Right. So you swirl it to kind of aerate it, to kind of see the tears. Put it up to your nose to smell it. What's it smell like to you? Wine.
It smells like red wine. But I'm telling you, the other day that we opened, it smelled like olive.
How weird.
I don't know why. And then we had that one that smelled like cigar.
Oh, yeah. So it's weird. Occasionally you'll get these random weird smells from the wine, but this one smells pretty good. Mm-hmm. No cheers of it. All right. Now, I like to just sip it. Kind of swirl it. Ooh, that one tastes different.
Mm-hmm. But that's because we don't really drink Italian wine.
Ah, that makes sense why it does taste different.
Mm-hmm. The last Italian we had was white. It was a white wine.
Wow, no, it's actually pretty good. I'm getting hints of wine.
At least you're being honest.
Dude, I am. But it's a good wine taste. It's not too strong. It's not too overpowering. And what I like is
lingering.
There you
it's
go.
Not lingering.
I don't like wines that you drink it and then 5 minutes later you're still tasting it. Like it's still there. This one hits you a little bit, then it just goes away. Kind of like I like. Just hit me with it and go away. Just hit me and go away. That's the way I like it. Do you remember how much this bottle cost? I don't know if you remember?
It might have been, I don't know. It was in euros. Or was it, well, not euros,
Pounds.
in pounds.
Pounds sterling.
It was in pounds, so
It was like $100?
No.
No, right? No.
Might have been like 25, 30,
Yeah, see?
like that.
It's pretty good.
Because they had a lot of stuff from Napa over there.
How weird.
And I was like, I don't want anything from Napa
Yeah,
to take
I remember
home.
that. I remember that. We're over there looking at everything from Napa. I was like, bro, well, we go all the way over here just to get wine from Napa. We just go to Napa. You know?
I was like, oh, no. So I saw that one. I was like, okay, well, it's a red.
Yeah, wine. This wine makes me want to have a piece of meat, like steak or something like to pair with it. Something kind of heavier, but it's good. So if you don't like wine, okay, that's a good question for you. If you've never tasted wine or you're not a big fan of wine, where would you start? But say you want to get involved or indulge yourself in wine and the culture and because there's a whole culture.
So you need to start with like the baby wine.
Which would be what?
Which would be like a sweet wine. So like a Moscato.
Okay.
That'll get you in with like, okay, it's sweet. Something sweet. Like we've had wines where I've like told you like, oh, this is a good starter wine for someone that doesn't really like to drink or doesn't like care for wine.
Sure.
Because we've done tastings. Well, I've done tastings with people and they're not like big on wine, and they think it's absolutely disgusting. And they're like, I don't know how you drink this. I'm like, this is not good.
Yeah.
I don't like it. But it's just because they don't drink a lot of wine or they don't drink any wine at all. Or some of them will drink Moscato. Mm-hmm. But Moscato has a lot of sugar. So that was one of the reasons why I started to like try other stuff, because you can't just stick to like that and you're just drinking a bunch of sugar.
Well, I remember in Temecula when we went, again, I was just kind of starting my journey there. And Riesling was, I think, one of the first ones that I actually started to like, and that's what you told me. Or hey, that is a sweet wine. It's kind of has sugar. You could just taste how sweet it is, and so that's where I started with kind of Riesling. But then you kind of graduate from that, because I don't want to be stuck on wine. It's kind of like when you're a kid, or when I was young, you get your alcohol, you get kind of what
everybody else gets.
Right. Mm-hmm. And, wine coolers back in the day, right? Mm-hmm. Boone's Strawberry Hill. I mean, that was huge. That was fucking huge. That was a popular.
And Cisco's were too, because those were sweet.
Yeah. So you start.
I don't even know if they make those anymore.
Oh, I don't know. So that's where you would kind of start, and then you graduate to, okay, real alcohol or So that's where I started, was Riesling, and then I just kind of graduated to the good stuff, I guess, or the real stuff, But yeah, no, it's good. It's good, and it's the quality's good on this one. What's this one called?
I don't know. I can't say it. I'm not even trying to say it.
Yeah, I don't know. Savion.
I'm assuming it's Savion.
Savion. All right. Cheers to you, bro. Cheers to. But yeah, I know.
So what was your first favorite mixed drink? Because I can tell you, I started with like baby stuff.
What'd you start off with?
Midori sour.
Ah, okay.
And I can't tell you when was the last time I had one, but for a good solid year.
No shit.
Anytime I went, like,
I don't
to
think
a
I've
club.
ever. I have actually never. I don't think I've ever, since we've been together. I don't think you've ever ordered a Midori sour.
No, I haven't.
That's new. Learn something new about you. Kamikazes.
Okay.
Kamikazes. The you get them in the shot form or the drink form. They're sweet. I used to go to at the back in California where I used to run the shop, the Goodyear store in Riverside. There was a bowling alley right not too far from there. Almost every day. This is before I met you. Almost every day after work, we'd go to the bowling alley, bowl, and it was kamikazes for everybody. That was like the thing, And I haven't really ordered a kamikaze. It's been a long time, but that was my first drink as an adult that I would just kind of just go to. Now, as a kid, yeah, you do the whatever you can, Boone's and remember Zima?
I do remember those.
I had a couple. It wasn't too many, but I remember Zima. What are those wine coolers? I forgot what they were called, but they're like bottles. But anyways, wine coolers, those were other things. But yeah, kamikaze is where I started kind of like thing. And then I went through a phase where I didn't like beer that much. But then again, you get older. I guess your palate changes, and beer. I do beer, no problem. IPAs though,
I don't like IPAs.
I don't know about IPAs, man. They're a little.
I've tried. I really have tried, and I cannot get used to them. They're too much.
If I'm feeling frisky, I'll have an IPA, but it's rare. Yeah. I mean, honestly.
I'd just rather have a dark beer.
There you Guinness.
Yes.
Guinness is good in London, huh?
It is. It's the best.
Man, so good.
So do you want to tell everybody about what happened your very first day of working at a shop? Because you didn't start working on cars.
What did I start? Oh, as the driver? So the beginning of my 23-year career in the automotive field, I got hired at a shop. I was about 19 years old, give or take, and I got offered a job as a driver. One of my coworkers at the time, he was like, "Hey, my shop's looking for a driver. You want the job?" And I told him, like, dude, I don't know anything about cars. I didn't know anything about cars. I didn't grow up around cars. My dad wasn't a car guy. We just had nothing to do with cars. At that time, I didn't even know what an oil change was. Like, what is that? So I got the job. They hired me as the driver. They say, all you got to do is you're going to pick up some used tires with on our Ford Ranger, and you're going to take them to Riverside, drop them off, pick up some tires, and come back. You're going to do that every single day. Occasionally, you're going to take a client home. You're going to pick up parts. I'm like, dude, if that's all I have to do, dude, sign me up. Dude, I got hired. I was stoked because I got a job at a shop. The next day, I went in to start. I introduced myself. Hi, my name is Carlos. I'm the new guy. I'm the driver. Where do I go? Where to? Dude looks at me. He's like, all right, here, do me a favor. Pull this car in, do an oil change on it, and then you leave after that. And then I looked at him. I was just like, bro, I don't know what you just said. What does that mean? So long story short, I learned. That's how I kind of got into the automotive industry, just kind of learning, kind of going learning as I went. But then finally, they're like, all right, Carlos, let's go ahead and load you up so you could go drive. I said, finally, dude, let me go ahead and drive, right? So I loaded up the back of this Ranger with all these used ass tires, laced them all up. They showed me how to lace tires, strap them all down. They're like, all right, dude, go ahead and take off. It's Riverside. I worked at Chino Hills, California, went to Riverside, California. I think it's about maybe 30 minutes. I don't know. I forget how far it is. So then I'm all excited. I didn't have a phone because we didn't have phones back then. Was all excited. I got into the truck to leave, put the key in, looked down. Bro, it's manual. It's a stick shift. Dude, I had no idea how to drive stick. I never learn how to drive stick. I didn't even think to ask, hey, is this a stick or automatic on your truck? Oh, dude, it was manual. So I didn't want to, I wanted the job, and I really didn't want to like be that guy and go back to the manager and say, hey, bro, I don't know how to drive stick. I guess I faked it till I made it. I popped that thing into gear, and I had like 50 tires in the back, and there I was, like just totally like jacking up the truck, right? And dude, I literally left Chino Hills to Riverside, and by the time I got to Riverside, I already kind of learned. I already knew how to like shift. But dude, I stalled the shit out of that thing. I was on the freeway freaking out, hands all sweating because I didn't know like, all right, do I do it again? Do I put it in gear again? Do I not? Oh, dude, it was one of those things where I got to Riverside. I felt, oh, man, I'm here. Cool. And then they loaded me back up with new tires, and then I had to drive all the way back. By the time I got back to the shop, dude, the transmission was making noise. Like, oh, dude, I know I jacked up the clutch of that thing, but that's how I learned to drive stick, was just, a la fuerza, a la hueva. Like, I just learned because I wanted to learn. And so, yeah, it was an interesting story. But, yeah, I'll never forget that. And, God, I can't believe I made it. Like,
did your parents never have stick-shift cars?
Never.
Oh, okay.
Not, at least not not growing up.
Okay.
We didn't have any stick-shift cars. I'm sure my dad in Mexico knew how to drive stick. But yeah, dude, we just never did.
Well, you'd be surprised. My dad didn't know how to drive stick in Mexico. My dad didn't learn to drive stick until he bought his very first Hyundai out of the dealership.
Oh shit!
And drove it home. Yeah.
Oh shit! See, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Holy! At least I jacked up, not my vehicle.
He didn't mess up his car, but
Okay.
you know,
At
he
least-
had the idea of how to do it, but
He just never did it.
He never did, and he took a chance and he went and bought this car brand new because his Cutlass had died.
shit.
And so he figured, okay, well, I'm going to buy something else. And he drove it home.
That is crazy. I see. I didn't know that either.
Yeah. And I never learned.
Yeah, and to this day, right?
I just never learned.
You refuse to learn,
I
or
refuse to learn at this point. I just refuse to learn.
well, you should learn. Because what if we get a classic car, the one that you want, and the only one we could get is stick?
Then I might have to learn.
You might have
but
to
I won't
learn.
learn on that one.
Yeah, just don't. Yeah, you don't. We'll have to just get like a beater car so you can learn, and then have you drive the other one. So,
Yeah.
but I think it'll be all right. All right, guys. Well, hey, thanks for tuning in. That's pretty much the wraps up our first episode of the Toast and Torque podcast. I'm your host Carlos. My wife Vanessa. Tune in, and we'll bring you some more car care tips, fun facts, some more spirit related information and fun facts with those. I think next week we'll probably do, or next episode we'll probably do either a white wine or maybe even a hard alcohol.
Ooh, are
or
you down
something.
for a champagne?
Yeah, I'm always down for champagne.
You're never down for champagne.
Well, I had champagne the other day, right?
You did because it was New Year's.
Because it was New Year's. And what do? We toasted at midnight, and by 12:05 we're already sleeping.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that's what I think. That's what locals do here in Vegas. We don't want to go anywhere but Mimi's.
Yep.
So, all right, guys, we appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you very much, and we'll see you guys soon.